Okay, so your question was about what slope actually means and how to do question 15 on this. It looks like SAT prep book. And the first thing you need to know is your slope is defined as the rise of a graph over the run. And in general, the rise is how much does your y value change over how much your x value changes from point to point. So what's really important is picking two good points to determine the slope. After that, we'll figure out how to work with the perpendicular line. So in this case, they're giving you 2 points on your graph. Let me zoom in a little bit here. So zooming in here, they give you these 2 points on the graph. They give you that the graph crosses the x-axis at -2. So the coordinates of that point would be -2 and 0. And the graph crosses the y-axis at -3, so the coordinates of that would be 0, -3. So there's a couple of ways to kind of approach this. Either you can actually figure out, the change in y is going to be how far apart your y values are by just counting boxes, which might be the easiest way to do this, to count the number of boxes. So we actually go down 3 units, so I'm going to write -3 for that part. So our rise is -3. Our run will be over 2 boxes. We go over +2 to the right. So we're going to go over +2. So our slope currently for this specific line is going to be -3 halves, because a negative divided by a positive will come out to be negative. So that's kind of the first step to this problem. Now, it's always really important that you check to make sure your slope kind of matches how the line looks. If the line is decreasing, if it's going downward from left to right, then your slope will be negative. If your line is increasing, meaning going up from left to right, then your slope should be positive. So our slope here is negative, and our line is going downward from left to right. It is going downward from left to right, so that does make sense. All right, now to the other part of this question. So we're trying to find if line M, not shown, passes through the origin and is perpendicular to line L, what is the slope of line M? So there are two types of really, really cool lines. One of them is parallel, and one of them is perpendicular. And if you remember from geometry, perpendicular will mean that the two lines cross at a 90-degree angle, and from geometry, parallel means they're going to run right next to each other and never intersect at all. In the case of parallel lines, in case this question changes, your slopes of your two lines are going to be the same. In the case of perpendicular lines, your slopes are going to be opposite reciprocals. So will actually mean, I'm going to write this down here, the word opposite will mean that there are different signs for each. So one should be positive, one should be negative. And then the word reciprocal means I take the fraction, whatever it is, and I flip it over. So we have this would be basically the fraction that would multiply with the other fraction to become 1. So right now our original slope, just as a reminder, was -3 halves. To make them opposite, our slope of our perpendicular line for line M needs to be the opposite sign, so it's going to be positive, and it needs to have the fraction flipped over. So we're going to have +2/3. And that would be the slope of our perpendicular line.